GM, let's wait a few minutes for Skew, and we are ready to go.
GM.
GM, how are you doing?
Good. Market looks interesting. Well, I mean, I haven't checked today, but it looked. We made what all-time highs yesterday.
Yeah, market is interesting indeed.
I also saw hype did pretty well as well, which we've covered. I think every stream so far, like basically since the bottom, actually.
Pardon me. You think it's what?
Like basically since the bottom, we've covered it.
Yeah, and same with Poor. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but
Wait, which one?
Poor, the main meme coin on Hyperliquid. I'm sure I talked about it.
Per.
Yeah, with you in DMs. So yeah, it was like 15 cents. Now it's 28, and it has crazy 24 hours. 57% in last 24 hours and 11%.
I mean, makes sense. Makes sense. Like you remember in like I think it was 2020 to 2021, BNB kind of had like its season. And like during that, and just like ETH as well, when you have like these kind of seasonal effects, you have the Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin being ETH, Hype, BNB, they all go up a lot initially. Then like obviously some of the capital from the gains goes into the secondary coins or like the top community favorites. So like per being one, and there'll be a lot of competition amongst probably the top pairs at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, actually, I sold it yesterday. It's now like around 20% higher. But yeah, it wasn't a comfortable position for me anymore. And
What with per?
Yeah, I know the token for quite a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if we visited 90 cents tomorrow. It's super overheated on RSI and on major resistance. So yeah, I just took some off, but still having my whole chunk of hype. I think we were buying that live at $12, which is juicy 3x now.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I vaguely remember that actually, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I've bought more, but suddenly it became my biggest position in portfolio, so not bad at all.
In terms of value, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of value, yes. Yeah, guys, looking to open some charts, and let's see what's next.
Yeah, GM, am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Great. Good to see you guys again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been 2 weeks, roughly.
2 or 3, I guess.
Yes.
2-3 weeks. Okay.
And what is 2 or 3 weeks we have just had, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the funny thing about crypto is 2 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks feels like half a year in a
literally
funny delusional way, right?
So yeah, we're not bored at all.
No, we're not. You guys remember Radium, right? This reminds me a lot of Radium. Like essentially you have this essentially, so price goes down for like whatever reason, right? And then you have this move, right, which happens. This is probably where Per's at, right? And if it obviously follows the same kind of impulse, then obviously that would mean like what, like 60 cents or something for Per. Yeah, that'd be like 50, 60 probably. That's crazy. What's hype at too?
Hype is 36, almost 37 bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, all time high. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, dude, look how clean that is. Like, fought around the value area high, and then once it broke, and then you can see with the wick as well, the wick of this candle here with the weekly open, that was basically your entry. And essentially this is obviously like the favorite altcoin as well as like strong coin so far of this year and this season. So evidently it's going to have a very strong correlation to the greater market, aka Bitcoin.
What do you think about it next? Like, can it rally further?
Well, I can tell you now. So, like, usually when we get kind of a flat high like this, that is simply just because of supply above price. Kind of a new dynamic, I will say, within like how Bitcoin trades now versus like previous years. Like it really started like last year. But like you can see with like each leg, right, we'd have these 3 drives to the initial, right? And then it consolidates the third, the second. Typically there is a washout between the second and the third, right? But obviously when you get kind of a flat high like this, it tends to be more like distribution initially, right? So if we see that, you know, into next week, it'll be like highly likely there's a pullback. So essentially what we need to see is that second drive. And what's happened over the past few days when I've been keeping tabs, and I think the catalyst primarily has been the bond market, because of physical debt in the US, which is, you know, evidently fucked. And then secondly, there is that tax cut bill, which essentially the market does not like and doesn't think will pass. And if it does pass, that's obviously also bad, which ends up being like a long term really, really good for Bitcoin. But in the near term, there's going to be like more volatility, especially if there's any kind of like on day, and this is specifically during US trading hours, right? Whenever the DXY or the USD strengthens, you'll see less like appropriate inflows into risk, which essentially means like the amount of like buying pressure, quote unquote, that you typically see on like a quote risk on day will be quite like subpar. But if there's a pullback, the level to watch would essentially be this low. Let me change that to black.
Yeah, on 4 hour, right.
Yeah, this one. So on low time frame, it's pretty clean. Right? So you have like, obviously, we had this move, which I was tweeting about. That was the bad auction.
Correct. Right after the lunch break, yeah.
Yeah, so this was basically the bad auction. That was the reaction, right? And then evidently the market moved higher. Primarily Bitcoin, simply because we're moving into like a narrative, I think, where Bitcoin prevails in terms of like less confidence in the I think the US debt situation, the US's fiscal policy in the long term. And it's not just a problem that plagues like the US. I mean, the Trump admin, it'll be the admin next. So like, even if it's like a Democrat admin next, they're still gonna have the same issue. And I think like currently, and you know, going forward, probably 2026, you're gonna see, you know, bonds, gold, as well as like the European market start to like sniff this out. Which is kind of interesting, because in terms of, you know, the big boys in TradFi, like hedge funds, I would probably say specifically hedge funds for this, actually. They're going to take more bets against the US economy unless they're completely convinced, right? So that, in game theory and narrative sake, gives you your sell side. That is like your sell. So they'll essentially be betting on probably Europe and then betting against the US.
Clearly. Yeah, I fully agree. I'm also like watching like in terms of game theory, because, you know, we are at levels for the yields which are
Yeah.
Last time we were there, Besant and the admin group was like stepping in some way, and we're back basically to the when those comments happened. So whenever they're going to intervene, we might see the blow off top. And I would like also like separate. So it's from April 9th of April, from the bottom, basically from the tariff
Yeah.
mania. I think we can like separate the rally, right? So the first two legs, maybe it depends on what do we take as a leg, right? As the first leg, maybe the first one was just an automatic reaction or bounce. But the last legs were definitely catalyzed by the yields and tax cut situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can see obviously on the day we actually this was like 150 basis point move or something like that, like from like 5% up to that.
That's crazy.
That's big. That's a a pretty big move, and it's also like quite a large signal, at least to Trump and his big suit men, essentially, that they need to pivot quickly, like very, very quickly, in terms of how they're going to take on US debt, how they're going to take on the interest that's paid on US debt, and then how they're going to take on government and obviously, government or federal spending. So like a lot needs to change, essentially. And this is what like the 30-year, the 10-year, and the 20-year will signal. And obviously, it's a very big problem because there's a lot of spillover when it comes to the 30-year specifically, and the 20-year specifically, because it affects the businesses as well as like commercially, and then residentially, which is mortgages, anything really tied to property. I wouldn't be surprised as well if they are doing something in terms of stepping in to prevent yields absolutely ripping.
I think they're on the edge, most likely, because that's again at those critical levels historically, which intervention was always needed.
Yeah, we can usually sniff this out. So when they start to intervene, like as in if they're starting to, like without publicly saying, right, that they are supporting the treasury market, right, that obviously has consequences, because the big firms can sniff it out. Quite literally, because I can just see there's a constant massive buyer at like a certain time every single day, similar to like QE, right? Then what they tend to do is they tend to turn bearish on equities. So I think like obviously watching the stock market is going to be pretty paramount for me, because if this ends up being like your dead cat bounce, right? Obviously, that'll only be confirmed if we close back below like 5,600. It's like, come down, rejects, then heads low. That would obviously be the bearish argument, as well as like a few other massive factors would have to play into this in terms of like what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Even before this week's weekly open, when you just take a look at the weekly charts, right? So since like how many green weeks do we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it? Okay, we're in the 5th. I think for Bitcoin it's even stronger. So it's definitely at a place. Yeah, and weekly, that's yearly open, as I see correctly.
Where so like it's pretty clean actually. If you go to like the
it is, yeah.
The yearly and weekly open.
Oh, okay.
They just traded,
so that's a reasonable place
above
to
it.
install. Yeah.
It's like we traded above it basically until Tuesday, and then obviously
the auction, until
Wednesday.
the auction. Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty clean indeed. Would absolutely make sense, like a correction or like a pullback from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the area that I'm watching obviously is this gap. but like 5,700 to 5,600. I think that is your area to watch. If you see pretty much constant distribution in each trading session, it's not going to look great. There'll obviously be massive factors to that. Obviously, like economic data will matter again, like June, July. Essentially, that's the period in the market, the period where the market is anticipating pretty bad data, and if there's not bad data, that's obviously going to be very bullish, because then all the de-risking and hedges basically flip. So then hedges close, the de-risking is basically done, and then they start to market back in. That's when like CTAs buy. It's like obviously when like CTAs buy, you get price action literally just like this, literally just pretty steady incline.
Yeah, upward sloping accumulation, right? And given the lot of data or the importance of the summer data, I also have a feeling we might avoid the summer chop. At least when you look at previous summer price actions, and for instance for BTC, sometimes it's a pain. It's you need to be absolutely masochistic to trade that. And we might see, or we might get some good mean reversion conditions for the summer. I would love that, to be honest. I really thrive in that under that conditions. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Wait, whoops. Let's go back and have a look at that actually. It's December.
Basically this one, yeah, from last summer, yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously, this is contextually different because we had confirmed supply with these 3 taps, and then obviously the breakdown here. So then, yeah, I mean, from let's say from May, right? May was like the low. We grinded back up until price tested again the same resistance supply, and then essentially no different. Chopped around, came back down, swept the low, came back up, and so forth. And then obviously the catalyst from September into October and the breakout being the biggest catalyst was obviously Trump's election win. So if we're talking like game theory for now, we could expect the same probably for summer, right?
Easily.
If how and what. So like the if is the economic data bad? Is it good? Right? If it's good, then we'll have probably better than expected outcome for risk and risk bonds and probably crypto. And then if it's bad, then obviously like all 3 get wrecked. If it's mid, then I'd expect something pretty much identical to this, essentially just bouncing between supply and demand. And then the catalyst, like later on, much later on, may potentially be the key policy decisions, as well as like the whole what is the US going to classify Bitcoin and crypto as? How are they going to regulate it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's also token as well, which is October, I believe, which will be important potentially. Yeah, it looks like we're probably going to test this level today. I'm going to change this tab now.
Yeah. Yeah, like from market microstructure, to jump in before you start here, like what I can spot on lower time frames is like two very key things. So we are like we had a nice pretty easy closes above the January all-time highs. That's one thing I think to keep an eye on, and also on the next retest of that level. because ideally, if you gap away, you should not really retest that level. If so, probably one of the first two retests would probably hold. But then if losing, I think that's probably the distribution above the previous all-time high, and then we go lower. So that's how I prepare. And from yesterday was a sort of this reaccumulation, redistribution value day, so-called value day, and we are like simply in the initial balance of yesterday's New York session. Very, very clean.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So far.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at this. This orange CVD is Coinbase. So it's fairly important actually, because when you have a pinned range, which this is, right? So you have bid liquidity essentially quoted around the low, at least on lower time frame, right? And then you see quite a lot of aggregates, asks or supply above price. Very important. And then obviously we can see between the two CVDs divergence here essentially, right? So we can see takers essentially selling this, right? Now, what's like pretty important is if this is being price matched or matched in some way by limit buyers passively buying in each dip, right? You would expect 110K to hold, right? And then if we compare it with the yellow one, which is Binance Spot, we can see aggressive basically through this entire thing, as well as the second attempt to crack the same high has been pretty persistent taker buy. And then obviously the aggregate ask liquidity above, right, is important because you require, in terms of a breakout, you require limit buying to lead price, right? And then to actually break out with that momentum, you need the sizable volume, which typically only comes at market, which is market buying, which is takers.
Makes sense.
Yeah, kind of just proves that this is a pretty important zone. Like not only is it pinned, right, and it's consolidating, we can see a change of hands here. I think obviously if we break lower below 110, there'll be a washout. And if we continue to consolidate sideways here and see like a revival of momentum behind price, that'll be the first telltale sign, and it's likely only to happen on lower time frame for a breakout. And I think for that to be confirmed, obviously we need to clear 100. Is that 13K? 113K, yeah, it is.
Approximately, yeah.
Yeah. I would say we need to clear that and sustain the momentum. That'll get us to probably like 120. Also quite interesting, like this order book has been so insanely active.
The first one, right?
I've seen like some crazy size being quoted in like the past week, like this week specifically. Like, I mean, here firstly, right? Like someone was essentially bailing, but also like so much size was being stacked into that. And then obviously on the downside here, right? This again, it's typically just liquidity engineering. This was provided so something like massively scale out, as well as I'm pretty sure someone was shorting into it. And obviously after longs probably got margin called just partially, not like completely. Like we obviously saw all OI here essentially dissipate, but they weren't like crazy liquidations, at least from like Binance. And then obviously we see it here, right? So this makes sense in terms of the other chart here, which is spot, right? And we can see like against each other, right? See the high here, and this is supply above, right? Now we can also see that was the initial high, right? So whoever is the massive firm essentially behind moving price essentially goes, okay, time to potentially cap price that here. So they will stack in a bunch of orders, and they'll try to get filled as short as possible as they can be without it being like too obvious. But obviously, you know, quoting this makes it pretty obvious, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so they get filled, right? And then they obviously like clearly they got rid of the stack of orders to get short, right? But they will still be stacking on shorts in each of these little bounces. We also saw an interesting, like quite an aggressive dip in funding. That typically only happens when you have a lot of longs that are closing out constantly, and the only actual exposure, the like only new positioning is short stacking on, as well as like the ask depth here clearly was stacked because I mean obviously that's going to affect the order book depth, and we can see it's like barely positive. So TLDR, someone big is pretty short here and is still scaling in a short. My guess, they may try to force a dip based on per positioning. However successful that may be, we don't know yet. In terms of spot data, it looks more like a pin zone to me.
No, I think that's a great overview here. So yesterday I've been like, since you know the day was pretty calm, like compressive for New York. Like I mentioned, I was investigating the microstructure here as well as with those stacked limit asks on the perp side. So they disappeared after the New York Open, obviously. Probably just to gauge the appetite of the momentum, but still it became pretty thin. Like I mentioned, you know, initial balance from yesterday is my reference currently. I've actually longed this morning the law of it, because there was like, also because of the funding, it was a little bit overextended, and also on 1% spot order book depth was pretty good there. So just for a quick range trade, you know, but yeah, it rejected the daily initial balance actually, because that was, you know, that's the two I'm looking, the daily open one and the New York session open one. So very good guides here.
Oh yeah. I can actually do that. Show this tab. Yeah, so this was yesterday's.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so that makes sense, right? So New York law typically is respected, right? It was ran here, right? We rejected the daily open a little bit after. Price came back down, bounced, and pretty insufficient. So in terms of like how a firm would see this and digest this and think about the market is essentially there's lack of direction, and then secondly, little confidence in terms of price direction after the auction. And also this would mean higher correlation, especially on a Friday, to ES, NASDAQ. So a collective correlation to the TradFi market, right? So if risk market opens the morning, you know, pretty bearish, as in quite sell side, it's quite likely we will, you know, obviously probe the low, and that, you know, 100 and what was it, like 110k liquidity. This bid liquidity.
Yeah, the previous all-time, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. As well as like the consolidation. Yeah. So it'd be quite likely to probe that, and then obviously if we do, right, I wouldn't be surprised to see. Actually, I'm not too sure about this now I think about it, right? Because I think the market, like crypto's appetite's probably more likely to be bullish. I'd be surprised if they're bearish, actually. I'd be pretty surprised if they're shorting into it, especially with like a bearish ES market, because then it tells me that like for once they're actually following macro which would be like, you know, big surprise. Yeah, it's gonna be super interesting actually.
Yeah, it depends on the correlation algos, right? Because lately, and when you said there was the bad auction, so we flushed. We did the so-called Burj Khalifa pattern. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And yeah, actually, the spot demand stepped in. That was weekly open where the flush got stopped, or you know, support came
Yeah.
and demand stepped in, and that was like decoupling from the equities behavior, because I think equities went
Yeah.
lower in
Yeah,
the
it
over
did.
market hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty nice flush actually. What was surprising is like at that time the funding rate was a lot lower than neutral as well.
Also, have you checked the cross exchange funding on Velo lately? I think they have a new indicator there. That's sometimes it's pretty nice to see. You know, on one section, the 4 or 5 exchanges fundings and spikes and deviations. You know, it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about. This one, right?
No, there is a separate indicator. If you go back to your charts.
Oh wait, you can add it to the chart now. Okay.
Yeah, and there is a new indicator called cross exchange. Yeah, there.
Yeah,
There. Yeah, that one. It's pretty cool, actually. And I think visualizes.
that makes it a lot nicer to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I used to do before is I would pair it
to the actual exchange, right? Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Same.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you need a little bit bigger window, but yeah. Sometimes it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, for testing sake, what I'll do is we'll keep that. Actually, you know what's always interesting to do is if I just remove this and we increase this, right? Because we know like one of the primary drivers, at least when it comes to funding, right, is the amount of positions being opened and the exchange of positions like at markets. Like obviously when there's like a squeeze, a short squeeze, for example, there is a shitload of market buying, right? So that respectively shows up as like strong delta, as in like, you know, this move. And obviously when you correlate it over spot, you can see when like spot is leading that and when it's perps. And like, you know, if there's a massive difference between the two, it's like the amount of spot being bought here, right, comparatively to perps. Perps is like a lot higher, and that tends to spike funding rates.
Yeah, pretty clean actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's some alpha. There are labels for this.
Should have, yeah, somewhere.
They should have some labels here. That'd be nice. All right, so Hyperliquid is orange. That makes sense. Binance is blue.
Oh, that's, yeah. I used to use blue for Coinbase. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of trippy.
And Bybit, of course, orange, and something like this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know Hyperliquid's funding in itself is going to be kind of extreme, primarily because of that one account that's casually trading what a bill position. So it's gonna, whenever they do anything, it'll move funding rate a lot. And I believe they added actually what they de-risked through this flush, right? This one, right? I'm pretty sure they de-risked through that, and that would be that. And then my guess is they probably added back in this move.
around the daily open, I guess. Yeah.
I could have a look to see if they de-risked as well. Yeah, that's cool. It's a nice feature that they added.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, cool. You can do per annum. That gives you like the APR. It's like a 38%. It's pretty nice. Like a lot of funds would try to carry short on that, especially if they think the market is like topping. They would be stacking in shorts to farm the funding, right? Interesting.
Also, I think throughout the week, like after watching session after session in, session out from weekly open, it's very interesting to observe how. And I think that that is like a tiny alpha here for when you've got a nice trending US session and the either the close or the New York close level or the lunch break consolidation level or lunch break top or maybe the 11 a.m. as they call in TradFi, if those levels are respected in the I don't know in the first two or first or second hour or first 2 hours after the New York close, it's more likely you see continuation to the upside. And then like constantly we saw that throughout the week.
Yeah, true. I think even Zero Hedge was kind of making fun of it. Like they call it the 10:30 or 11 a.m. sell algo.
Yeah.
Which, which is essentially like when the algorithms just slam the book, either like de-risking or just closing out or whatever, right? But it causes the market to like slip essentially like around 11 a.m. every single day.
If these small things factors are like applied to your trading plans, it's I think it helps a lot to realize profit. Also with the help of the opening ranges and all this stuff. So at least for me, it's a great guide. I've lost a lot of money previously in previous years on like trying to guess things here, but if you just pay attention,
Yeah.
these are just really algorithmic things.
Yeah, so this was the
The
auction
auction,
reaction.
yeah,
Yeah, yes.
much weaker, and then we can see what's happening since
Every
then,
bounce
right?
is getting sold as well.
Yeah.
Like this, someone selling the. I may for once actually watch TLT. Yeah, TLT's up a lot on the day. Right. TLT would only be up for like one reason. Yield's coming down. Is there anything out in the news right now?
And also stocks pretty weak pre-market so far.
Well, Trump threatens 25% tariffs on Apple
Yeah,
phones.
for the iPhones, yeah.
That's pretty retarded. I'm not gonna lie. If you know the business model of Apple and why they use China, like everyone knows, right? You're not gonna be able to be as profitable trying to make iPhones in the US with the same salary. Not gonna happen.
No, yeah. It's just I don't know what they are on, honestly, coming out of such headlines or statements.
Yeah, they'll it's I don't even know. They'll do something stupid, then they'll change their mind, and then they go back to something else equally as stupid but different. Other than that, I don't really see another headline relating to that. Okay, we've now basically reversed the Wednesday move. Dare I say intervention?
Well, yeah, it's pretty, at least differs from what we've seen in the first half of the week. So
I mean, every time we've basically gone to 5%, it gets reversed. I've said it previously. There's someone's buying it. I don't know who, but someone fucking big is buying treasuries up when it hits 5% or higher. And April, January. Obviously, October 2023. Yeah, for once, bonds are actually kind of interesting. Usually, I don't care about bonds. We should also see like Nasdaq. If Nasdaq pukes a lot, that'd be interesting. It's a pretty big gap. Also, pretty clean level. Like 20.2K.
yeah, by the way, I don't think I have these levels added to my equity charts, but now seeing this, yeah, pretty clean.
What percent? Let's. In terms of statistics, I believe like 4 to 6% is around about the average pullback for the Nasdaq. There's a lot of nice confluence here as well.
And what was still interesting at weekly open from stocks is the Moody's downgrade came right after the market close, which I mean, some insiders probably already knew it was coming, but still there was I didn't see any notable reactions even after futures open. It gapped down, but not crazily. So it was pretty weird.
Yeah.
And so the auction, apologies. So the auction was much had a bigger importance, I think, or effect in the market.
Definitely. I'm going to delete this. You know what I haven't checked in a while is what is ETH doing? It's like forming a new range. So I updated this chart actually between last stream and recently. So when BTC broke out the other day, there were pretty good odds that we could see, a 30% rally essentially. So like, if Bitcoin was rallying pretty hard, right? So was ES, and we didn't have a bad auction. There would have been pretty high odds that ETH would be probably trading around like 3.4. Okay. But, didn't happen, unfortunately.
It's interesting, sorry, just to cut you off. There is some move here. So both BTC and the equities are selling off. I don't know if was there any news
besides like the tariff news, which the market may be anticipating as they're not taking trade talks seriously enough with China.
Interesting.
Plus, like, if he's gonna put 25% tariff on Apple, he'll do it to any and all companies which have multinational operations.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay.
it could be reacting negatively to that. It's like Nvidia, maybe one to watch as well.
So yeah, there was the Apple a couple minutes ago, but then a couple seconds ago, so Trump says the EU has been very difficult to deal with, recommending 50% tariff on the European Union. So we are back to the headlines.
That's a big one.
That's
markets are not going to like that.
No, it's already reacting like bearish.
Yeah, gold as well. Gold as well is trying to push up.
Beautiful.
Okay, so let's assume this is the tone for today, right? Let's say potentially equities, US markets, pretty meh to bearish, right? What we saw previously is when gold is very strong and there's an appetite to buy Bitcoin as not necessarily a hedge, but in terms of preserving capital, right? Capital, but also making a gain is kind of why people buy gold, right? We could see the same working out for BTC post US hours. And if this is the case, right, then we should have a pretty strong Bitcoin through the weekend. Specifically Sunday.
Yeah, gold loving it.
Also, another note, by the way, since Moody downgraded bonds, like downgraded the ratings for US, they've been doing it to a lot of other countries now as well. Which is something to note because, I mean, everyone knows how bad US debt is, right? But respectively throughout the West, they just copied what the Americans did, especially with like QE and like mass public spending, federal spending, right? Which I think will be a huge driving factor for the value of Bitcoin over the next like 5 years.
Now we just, by the way, took that liquidity you were talking about at 110.
Yeah, I'm glad I took some off the table. Seems like it can again create some fear in the market and push the market much lower than it is now. Thinking about closing hype, actually.
Yeah, a lot of longs closed too, and some longs getting licked.
GG guys, it was a good run.
You calling it again, bruh?
Nice. Fuck.
I mean, yeah. Look, for it to be GG, we'd have to lose 106.
Now I'm really
damn.
Mike. I've never had so much stables in my life, in terms of like amount, not the portfolio wise, like percentage.
What? Because you're not degenerately long for once.
Yeah, like during this space, I found like 6K in a wallet. Nice airdrop, not gonna lie, in stables. So. Yeah.
I got a question actually. So when it comes to like airdrops, right, and farming, what do you think's like best to earn, right?
Now,
would people rather earn a composition of the token and stables, or just primarily the token?
No. It wasn't an airdrop. I just had like 6K in a wallet and I forgot about it.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so that's the case. Yeah, but despite abstract and hyper EVM and maybe two dexes, I don't see much opportunity in the market currently for an airdrop. Yeah, hyper EVM and abstract should be good, and perpetual dex, the extended and lighter, might be good, but I'm not that bullish on them, to be honest. Both products are like dog shit, like literally dog shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm quite bullish on AI meta. I think it can, the miner is still great, and I feel like if we are going to see another bull, it should be leading. You want to have a look on those charts, Skew, later, or not particularly?
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not?
I think Ava and Arc, these two, and Cookie, these three actually. Not gonna lie, am I already in profit? I have them for quite a bit of time.
I open the chart. This is what I see.
No, it's
Bruh.
not this Ava. It's AWA.
AWA.
Yeah.
Oh, AWA.
Like no W, it's V. V. Sorry. Yeah, this one. Yes. I mean, it doesn't look much better too, but no. Big sell off.
Oh, it's a pretty old coin, actually. So this is a 2021.
No.
This is the right one, yeah?
No, let me send you a link. Maybe I don't
Is
use
it like a DAX screener one?
Yeah, I don't use those
Everyone.
trading view stuff. I'm
boomer, bro.
You should.
I'm Dex Screener Maxi because there is more history on the sheets I trade.
On what the shit is.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
this,
prawn chain stuff, yeah.
because
What is this?
Binance history is when it's listed on Binance, but before that you also have some stuff on the chart. Yeah.
Okay, what is this?
Yeah.
I always look at who follows these things.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty.
Yeah, I mean there's some like quality. Obviously, some big names as well.
I consider it one of the best AI picks, to be honest. They have pretty cool.
Hollywood I do recognize it. Launch pool and stake. So is this what Hollywood basically? It's from Hollywood.
From them. Yeah.
Nice. Whoever they hired for this is like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cabal play.
It's
a pretty cabal play though. Like it's just Binance they stick so quickly. Yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, Binance Labs probably invested. That's usually how it goes. 1M uses 700K.
We only see the chart. We don't see what you are looking at. So.
The website.
Oh yeah.
I was having a look. Do you even look at this shit or not?
No, I haven't. I mean, I did my due diligence like 3 or 4 months ago, and they are still alive. So yeah.
Wait, is this like how the degen takes AI trades? Like if it's still around a month or 3 months later,
yeah, it's
like an okay looking chart. You just buy it.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I mean, I usually check Twitter threads and looking for the right people who I follow, whom I follow to read about, because a website alone won't tell me
Okay.
much. But yeah, probably should have checked that. Wow. Yeah.
Huh. That makes so much sense now I think about it. It's a cool looking site though, to be honest.
Yeah. It has XRP vibes with all of the partners below. Like,
That's typical. Everyone does that.
yeah, I know, I know.
Every Web3
That's,
project does
that's why I'm joking about it.
it.
Yeah, my entry is like between 55, 65 cents.
It's like kind of in this area.
Yeah.
Is that what when you bought like back here?
No. I didn't hit the the bottom. I bought it a few days ago actually.
Yeah, okay.
Although I'm on in this token since day one, but then I sold and now I bought again.
So this is actually quite important, this section, right?
Yeah,
Predominantly because this was when AI was getting chased like very aggressively. So like any project established in crypto was being chased during this period. And then it obviously topped out the same weekend before inauguration.
yes. Also, I think Wintermute does market making.
So wait, you're saying it was Wintermute?
I don't know. You tell me, Skew. You're the smart guy.
What do Americans say when they don't want to say something? It's like something like I plead the fifth or something. The fifth amendment. I don't know. Okay. Date range, like how old is this? I mean, pretty old for on-chain. I don't really have a clear read. Like technically, yeah, price made a high, right? That's good. But also I could see it range like longer. You know, kind of like you have like your first drive, second, chops around. Right. Then you either get like a move like that, right? Or you get a move which is like this. Obviously, the second one most people prefer.
Yeah.
And what's key is this leg here is always driven by narrative. You know, whether that's like mindshare on X or Twitter, right? That is driving a new narrative, which is like, you know, they're going to release some big AI thingy, big integration partner kind of thing where like it's good for the token and tokenomics and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, so I do think AI meta will come back.
I think it needs a narrative.
I mean, it's a narrative that will be a leading one, in my opinion. Probably with RWA and tokens with revenue. If I was
Yeah.
about to pick up three narratives, these three will be there in my bucket for sure. Like if we are about to see an alt season, yeah, every alt will pump. It's about choosing the right one that will pump the most or has the biggest upside. Yeah, so I'm very comfortable with betting on AI meta and AI narrative. Yeah.
I do agree. AI has been, and you know, even with the last month, I would say, you know, in terms of the market going up, right? I'll share this.
Also, one more thing,
Overview.
which usually I take to consideration is, does the token has Binance listing? Because Uh,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's really important when it comes to these matters.
yes, and for the past year and a half, it was sell the news, Binance listing. But if we try to think about it like a little bit more long term, I would say to see a proper alt season, we need retail, and retail doesn't know how uh, how DeFi works. They are not able to buy it in DeFi. It's too complicated for them. And yes, we
It's
are
getting
happy.
easier though with time. Like I
It,
think
it
genuinely
is,
there'll
but
be
I'm talking about like a guy who first time invest in crypto. So
yeah.
for those tokens, we need to have Coinbase listing and Binance listing. And if we have, then the money,
Well, that and like you need obviously apps like Moonshot and Rivals, right? Uh,
yes.
which actually one good metric probably is tracking Moonshot's category rank, because obviously if Moonshot goes up a lot with Coinbase, that'll be like clear indication that normies retail are essentially buying shit.
Well, my indicator is my mailbox. Like yesterday, three different friends asked me about what should they buy. Yeah, so I stabled some up. Uh,
Really?
yeah,
Always a
really.
good
I'm guessing
conversation.
that's because Bitcoin broke all time high.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm I know you can't put numbers on emotions, but the longer I am in the space, the more I believe it's purely based on vibes. And every time when we start to calculate our net worth in the chat groups, every time uh,
Not true. Yeah, that's true.
we are talking about being tired of winning, that's always the moment you should take some off the table, at least
Yeah, no,
some.
true, true.
Like it's so topic. Like I don't even know. Like I was once arguing with a very smart trader who's algorithm trader, and he said like it's impossible to base your trading on or investments on emotions. But the fear and greed index is probably the easiest thing to trade, and maybe not the way it's designed now, but every time when everyone is shooting pants, it's time to buy, and when everyone is euphoric, it's time to sell. Yeah, I need to create a methodology and a framework around it, but
Yeah, you should. I
yeah.
do agree. When the market's extremely pessimistic and you don't see the impact on price, and I've talked about this many, many times, it's often the time to pay close attention, because if everyone's extremely bearish and positioning shows they're all short, right? But the market is not able to actually auction lower, which means the market can't sell lower. That is the clearest indication to be like, okay, I'm buying now, right? Because really, realistically, there's not really a better time, and that's simply because you have everything, which is meant to work for the market in terms of it crashing, but it doesn't. And it works the exact same at the tops. Like a great example would have been Trump inauguration, actually, because you had all the things lined up perfectly. The coming 1 month, 2 months, 3 months looked all super, super bullish, and then everything fell for Trump very quickly.
Yeah, I need a Telegram bot that tracks my group chats, and every time someone says about buying a Porsche or I bullshit stuff, okay, soon I'm going to buy my village, like immediately it should execute some sales orders. Like whoever can build it, hit me a DM.
I know you're actually serious about that too, which is the funny part. Shit. But no, back to your point about like AI meta being chased. It was very clear in this rally. See, the blue line in this is AI, and you can see it basically trailed all the way up as the leading initially. So the first like 3 days it was leading, right, and then memes caught up, and after that, memes held the mind share. But obviously, like memes and AI go hand in hand these days.
Yeah, it's very hard to put the line where meme is and where AI is. But no one cares about memes anymore. Like, it's not sexy. AI is sexy. It's our Gen Z .com bubble. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
true.
I want to better
Yeah.
really heavily.
Virtual's up a shit ton.
Yeah, virtuals is shit actually. So I mean, I would.
Well, it's like just because you're not in it. Is that what
No,
you're
no, no.
saying?
Like, I mean, I've been very early on virtual. I had a ton, made money, lost money, but the tech, it's about the tech. I don't think virtual has the competitive competitive position now. Towards
They don't
the
have the competitive edge.
Yeah, exactly, and like virtual and AI 16Z during the last run were the majors. AI
Yeah.
16Z seems to be dead now, and I don't
Well,
understand. Like,
that's the thing. Like, what
I'm
I've
ra-
noticed,
yeah, I'm rather to
probably,
yeah, I'm way rather to bet on Arc or Ava, which are like 60, 70 mil, than virtual, which is 2 bill, and the tech is similar. Like for me, yeah,
okay, that makes sense. You're
yeah,
basically playing like a valuation capture. So you're trying to capture the next leg on the
yeah.
valuation, which is like
Yeah.
1 bill to 2 bill, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to put some numbers on the bullshit that is in my mind. And yeah, like basically probably back my thesis with something which makes sense. And it does make sense from like purely trading perspective. Like, okay, virtual might do 4 or 5x if we have like crazy run, but what if we have something like that? Those shitters are going to do same numbers, and I don't think they will drop much more than virtual if the bull run is over. Yeah,
Mm. You know,
yeah,
all it is though, like to cut the bullshit in between everything, is branding. It's really just who can brand better and maintain the mind share. Uh,
yes,
A16Z did that for a long time. They were basically the top, the most talked about. This essentially meant the community bought it and whatnot.
yeah,
This has been a massively winning strategy for like pretty much all Web3 businesses, right? And that's more than likely the case for virtual at the moment. Like people buy it because of the known brand behind it.
yes, exactly. And with AI 16Z, I don't want to be rude, but I'm going to be. Uh, yeah, no hard feelings to Milady. I'm Milady myself, but like anything that show touches, you should avoid it as much as possible. Like this guy is like serial rugger that is somehow still respected around. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some threads and stuff. I mean, I don't really pay attention to that stuff to be honest, but doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no need. Yeah, already I used to have a lot of that too. Like,
Fat did pretty well in the past week. I might have a look at Fat's chart because Fat had like one of the strongest charts of like 2024, I believe. This is what I'm talking about.
a cool one is Cookie. You can check it next. My friends build it. They develop it. Yeah, we
Wait,
are quite close.
the same cookie?
Cookie like the biscuit. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, so we are quite close with them. With Wu. Yeah, good friends of mine.
yeah. It is the cookie that I know. Then they're the one that's kind of doing like a leaderboard thing soon.
Yeah. So they pivoted to AI leaderboards by they launched a product 2 days ago that is basically Kaito.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I remember seeing that they were launching it like yesterday.
yeah, it's competition to Kaito.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, kind of makes sense. Like Kaito is very innovative, and they've innovated a kind of a new period in terms of growth, marketing, and community, growing community, brand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So it's changed it from like KOLs essentially to data-driven organic growth.
yeah,
And this is like obviously trackable through like leaderboards, trackable through XP metrics like YAPs and other types.
Yeah. Um, so I agree. It's also like very hard to put like draw the line between like follow the leader and bet on the best runners, because usually it's actually the best to follow the leader.
Well, yeah. I mean, this everyone follows the leader. So if this is positioning to capture the upside of this like new market, it'd be Kaido, then probably Cookie, then like there's always a third contender.
But it's also important to check the product by yourself. Not saying about Kite and Cookie example now, but overall, because sometimes those smaller
Yes.
guys have better tech, the product is better, and they are going to win the race. Like, even with exchanges like Bitfinex, it was the best and the first perps attacks that offered perps, and it's almost gone. Like, people don't trade there anymore. BlackBerry with the first smartphone, yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah, and then obviously innovative container shows up. When obviously it was Apple, and then you had Android, which was a step closer to the user in terms of giving them the capability to like structure and create their own device, their environment.
Yeah. Wow, incredible! This market is incredible.
What do you mean?
I mean, single headline and everything.
Oh yeah, we're below that. What the fuck?
Yeah, too much leverage in a short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like this long leverage here is going to get blown out.
I close my longs on time.
Yeah. Note the funding as well. The funding's dropping with longs, getting taken out, which does mean that the rest of the float will be short. So like wherever the space is out, there's going to be a pretty nice bounce. But that I guess again proves that whenever you get this flat high, it's usually distribution.
Or when your friends talk about buying a Porsche, that's also the distribution moment.
So what are you saying? Like pitchfork time?
No, we haven't checked Fartcoin.
No, we have not. Fartcoin was a stream favorite, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we as a team here, we made quite a good trade on it. We've been bullish on that since like 45 cents. Yeah, I closed my positions at like 70.
No, like 34 cents.
30. Yeah, exactly. So see, guys, hang out with us. Sometimes Mr. Robert and Skew have something smart to say.
Yeah, I mean, like since this, basically.
Yeah, incredible.
Dude, it actually followed the squiggly. That's hilarious. What the fuck?
Nice beta. Yeah, it actually did. Yeah.
It kind of looks exhausted. This, like, we're based off, but okay, we're gonna get like a pullback.
Have you seen the guy on Twitter, Deep Wheeler?
Wait, who?
Deep Wheeler. He bull posts Fartcon all the time, and he like posts nice girls with some big arguments and saying Fartcoin. Yeah, and in my opinion, it's the best social experiment in the space currently.
I mean, it's entertaining.
Yes.
All right, so like this, the monthly open plus like $1.22 roughly is like the most important level for now that I can see here. Ideally, we want to see this, like, these highs hold, but usually we tend to slice through it. So we'll have to see.
Pour minus 20% in an hour. I love this space.
Wait, what was down 20%?
The hyperliquid meme coin. I don't know how to pronounce it. Pour, per. Yeah. No need to check it. Just quite funny.
Like, yeah, okay, wick the open. I mean, really, it's just correlation to the rest of the market.
Yeah. I know. But I would love to see it back to 19 cents.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I want to check. You know, what's a funnier chart? VIX. And the VIX is going to gap up. It's up, what, 4%?
By the way, it's also really funny how like Kiyotaka is like suffering under the load when market is active. I think they were chatting about this in their Discord. So yeah, again, it's tough.
I mean, there's a lot of users on it now, I think that's why.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they need to improve on that. And I think Trading Live was getting still roasted after a month of being still out. Now they are back, but still, not with full data.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're a data provider, especially for like traders in this space, you need two things. Actually, three. Data, right? Sustainable data, real-time data, if you can, ideally. Obviously, it's expensive, so that's a key detail. And then proper infrastructure. So that's like global infrastructure. AWS is a great example. It's like if your instance goes down once or in one specific region, you can basically redirect to the next region.
Yep, indeed.
All right, so we swept the initial consolidation after the peak. This is ideally where you want to see price reclaims, like 108. If it doesn't, then I would more just sit on hands until there's a cleaner setup.
Yeah, that's a pretty deep flash, by the way.
It's a pretty decent move. Loading data.
Yeah, same on my side. Yeah, still suffering.
Yeah. But yeah, over here, this is the price to hold. So let me guess, like runs all the way up 109, comes back down, something like that.
Yeah, the structure level you marked, I think, right around the beginning of the stream, which is also lines up pretty well with the 1 hour 100 EMA, so I can see.
Yeah. I should check that. All right, so the 24 hours weekly open. It's a nice level.
We long?
Eventually, that's going to get tapped.
The weekly open?
No, what's the indicator? Is that the 20?
4 hour. I think it's
the daily. Okay.
Oh wait, no, that'd be the 4 hour 50. That makes sense. So
yeah,
the 20 would be around price actually right now.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, it was there. I tend not to use that more. I don't really use it often anymore because it's like not always respected on BTC. It's typically like if you want to create an automated band, right? I'll remove the rest of the EMAs to make it like pretty clear. And these. So now imagine like an automated band, right? And as long as price trades within that but closes back above with like good buy volume, that'd be a buy signal essentially. And then obviously if it closes like below initially here with like sell volume, that would be basically cut risk. But it like works so well with trend.
Yeah,
And then
it's
obviously
exactly
downside when it rejects, it's like sell.
Okay, so we buy now or sell?
I'm sitting on hands for now, bro. I want confirmations.
yeah, rather wait.
I feel like buying a bit.
Like if I were to buy, it would be a reclaim of this. So that and then like target a bounce to like 1 or 10.
Yeah, to the inefficiency, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm checking in the meantime high block. High block is still stable. You know, the bid-ask ratio and delta here looks pretty decent. So
Yeah.
also like loads of limit orders are being executed.
Yeah.
Big
That makes
buyers.
sense. A lot of longs would have got stopped out.
Yeah, so yeah, right. Yeah, so I see both on perps and spot, like the limit order count, like just spiking super hard.
Yeah. I mean, have a look at this.
Oh yeah.
Have to aggregate.
Tape trade count? Did they or do they already have this? Oh, nice.
Tape.
Yeah.
You guys know the James Wynn guy on Twitter?
The whale route.
Yeah, the one who opened like BTC long, one worth of 1 bill on Hyper.
Oh yeah, I've seen that
Correct.
circling around. Yeah.
So first he was like plus 18 mil, then he was minus 15 mil, then went up to 30 mil plus, and now he's negative 15.
I'm not surprised.
I have my thesis that he's created by some exchange or some market maker, and they just created their own QOL who, yeah, and those positions are hedged. That's my view.
Apparently I've heard it's like Tribaco. It's
Tribeca?
Tribaco. It's someone. Yeah, it's someone from Alameda. Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so we've seen like two things so far. De-risking from spot. This is de-risking from spot. This I can't draw over both. Shit. Okay, so this basically longs getting blown the fuck out. Now we're seeing some longs open. Basically like around here. The bulk of the tape we can see is primarily de-risking. So if we're gonna get like a pretty strong response, we'll see tape count like basically stay pretty high, with price, you know, rebounding. And key point, it needs to be led by spot.
Yeah, so to keep the tape count, you see the participation, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Yeah, it was. I think the flush was pretty overextended though, so a lot of leverage here from the past days, right? We barely saw, aside the weak auction sell off, we barely saw such a flush. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I'm actually gonna tweet this.
There was another pretty big volume candle here in low time frame. Such a shame Kiyotaka is now rugging. Yeah, I think price is now approaching your level, Skew.
Yeah, I mean the spot level's like 108.6.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. We're about to close at 15 minutes. In a minute. You'd obviously like to see the initial probably down a little bit, then up.
Another stream with a nice move, right?
Yeah, I mean, whenever we stream, we always get a move. I've noticed.
Yeah, and you know, watching, you know, the on the hourly chart, the above all-time high consolidation, it was already telling that, you know, there was some lower highs developing on the hourly, and like if you apply the volume profile from the breakout pretty much till before the flush, yeah, it's just, you know, right dropping from the POC, also you know, the session VWAP, and I used the 50-minute 50 EMA, or sorry, 15-minute 50 EMA for a good gauge. All of them like triggered the sell-off, like price action wise.
Confluence.
Yeah,
Okay.
Confluence. Yeah, correct.
Huh. This is kind of a funny post. CZ's making fun of, I think, Wall Street Journal, which quote unquote called SBF a vegan billionaire reshaping the financial order.
Let me see where it is. Oh yeah, and in terms of alts, I think we missed to a little bit elaborate on what happened with the SUI, or with SUI and its collateral. So that was a nice case again. Like I think they got
Ooh.
hacked pretty bad.
It was their so it wasn't SUI, it was one of the aggregated, like the LPs. One of the LPs got hacked. But
Oh yeah, right.
the problem is they provided so much to the SUI ecosystem, it ended up fucking SUI, which sucks. But that's kind of like the overhead risk when it comes to DeFi, which in a nutshell means you have to without like ruining decentralization, you have to have like risk parameters, which in a nutshell is basically just like managing when it comes to expectations. So like making sure your LPs are within like risk parameters. I mean,
Yeah, there it is.
it just looks more like distribution based on chart, to be honest, than anything else.
Yeah, I mean the sell-off wasn't that bad, to be honest.
Right.
I was expecting way worse reaction at first. But yeah, by the way, as for BTC, the previous all-time high level, like reclaiming that would be, if we do not reclaim that, I think it's that is clear distribution, and because it's a red flag to me, like losing that level so quickly. Of course, the headlines I know, and maybe this flush was healthy, just or maybe just a springboard before higher, but I'll need to see the session flows. And given this with the EU headline and everything, the cash session might open bearish, to be honest.
Yeah, true. I mean, look, Bitcoin is and has been the front runner of like all these moves. So how it performs in like the next 2 hours is pretty important. We are now testing the level.
Yeah, we're almost getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, so like basically the squiggly from before, which is you want to see something like that, like a few dips or whatever. Some like kind of consolidation around here would be pretty nice. And then a recovery.
Yeah, totally. My eyes are on that move. And if we would get a nice squeeze back now, I would love to like exit a skull before the open.
Well, not that far from the gap as well, yes.
Oh yeah, true.
About the start of the move as well. We just wicked it. That would be max pain if they actually set the bottom here and then there's just a recovery. That would be max pain. Yeah, it's a pretty quote. The quoted range is about 107.8 to around 109. That's the quoted range.
Can you please repeat? So from 108.
Yeah, have a look at this.
I think you got okay. You're back.
Yeah, my bad. All right, so like have a look at this. So you have like the low, right? They quoted it, they get filled, right? And then they typically move it up once they're actually in a position. So now they're quoting around this low, as well as like prices going up. So then you keep an eye on this, which is where the ask liquidity is stacking around. So it's like 109. Right, so this should be the theoretical like ping pong zone.
Makes sense. Yeah, the previous breakdown level basically from 109. Well, not precisely, a little bit lower, but yeah.
Slightly low, but
Slightly lower.
they
Yeah.
typically front run it by like $100 anyway.
Or yeah, kind of. Yeah, spot seems a little bit dead. So okay, now it's back to me. The spot too. Okay.
Yeah, my guess it's primarily going to be limit driven now. This move is mostly takers, and then the limit side is basically longs getting wrecked. Yeah, so far longs are buying the dip.
Yeah, 107 quoted with more than 100 BTC. Yeah, it's pretty average.
One of the European accounts that I actually quite like is you guys know Wario?
I think I met a couple, bumped into a couple times.
Yeah, he's quite funny. He's got like his recent post, which is basically like if American products went so shit, right? Europe wouldn't have a problem trading with America. I mean, I know he's like stirring the shit, but it's funny.
Europe whores.
Yeah, Europe was.
Even though I'm from Europe, but still.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm from Europe too, and yeah, I completely agree. Europe.
Yeah, but it's lately it's such a huge meme. Like Europeans constantly getting roasted. First on the AI, then on the regulations and all the other things. So
I mean, bro, but we are asking for that. Like China has DeepSeek, US has ChatGPT, and we got a new cup on the bottle. So,
yeah, the cup opener
I mean,
solution.
we
Yeah,
are
the
literally asking
shakers.
for being roasted.
Yeah, in terms of tech, maybe for automotive, Europe was like the king for a while, but it seems to be shifting as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a few comments here by Goolsby. It looks like he's panicking, actually, based off his comments. Tariff rates that high would be scary for the supply chain. True. If tariffs have a stagflationary impact, then that is the central bank's worst situation. We're likely to see comments like this from like all Fed speakers as well, in my opinion. And I reckon there's going to be pressure, a lot of pressure now from essentially everyone against Trump, essentially for Trump to shut up for once. And secondly, probably to cut tariffs to like understandable levels, which is like 10% to 25%.
What a nice way to start a Friday morning, right? Dropping in some bombs of tariffs.
Usual Friday. I'm pretty sure it always happens on a Friday too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Friday because I eat at my grandma's place. So I don't know.
That's the most European thing. What, like literally the walls is burning and then goes to grandma's to eat food.
I'm curious what she prepared today.
Probably good food.
Oh, for sure, but yeah, I hope for dumplings.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I got some. I ordered. There's a place near me that does really good, like mee goreng, like kind of Thai. It's very good.
Yeah. My favorite cuisine is probably Middle East. Like, man, I could eat kebab all time.
Dude, yeah, spice kebab with like garlic sauce. You know the sauce, right? And then
Yeah. But it needs
yeah,
a
but
proper one, not meat done like created from cats and dogs from the neighborhood. Like really good quality meat on barbecue. Damn, it's so good.
yeah. No, the proper kebab places they get like premium meat.
Yeah.
I can, sorry for the off topic, let's say. I just can see some posts like Trump should continue the trade war because, yeah, yields reacting negatively. So that's how they intervene practically.
Yeah. To the extent long-term yields are moving higher than. Wait, that quote actually does not make sense. Show more serious impact from actions. I'm just waiting till they hint that they're intervening in some way because I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, yes. Bounced off the low as well. That's going to be so funny if this runs up from here.
You're like straight back.
Yeah, no, that's going to be hilarious because it's going to piss so many people off for two reasons. That we didn't close the gap because the gap fell in. And secondly, because a lot of people got stopped out in that move.
I mean, I kind of enjoy when other people are in pain in the market. I mean, I might not doing
that you are from like Central Europe, right? That's what you guys find funny.
I mean, I might not be the best trader. I might not be the best, most profitable currently. But if the rest people are losing too, I don't mind.
Right. You're so European for that.
Yeah, that's not a good attitude.
Europeans are striking back, bro. Like,
yeah, what, by ragging everyone else?
we ain't letting you shit on us.
What?
About the comeback, yeah.
Bro. Dude, this is like the whole joke of like gypsies in Paris.
No, I've seen some posts in Australia. Let me search that back. So I've also seen some roasting in Australia lately.
Yeah. I mean, our government does
right?
some stupid stuff occasionally.
I mean, have you ever went to Bali? Those guys just drink and smoke. And
I haven't been to Bali actually, but yeah, I know. So you get like two types of Australians. You get like the Australian, then you get like the super Australian, which is kind of degenerate. They call them bogans, right? Yeah. And the bogans tend to go to Bali to get what we call pissed, which is very drunk. They love like the cheap alcohol and the access to it and the beach. So then they all like drink excessively, and it usually ends up in like a few ways, like Bali belly. They somehow die for some reason, or they just like come back with very bad hangovers.
Yes,
it's truly Like personally, if I were to do that, right, I'd probably go to Thailand for it.
Thailand is based as long as you don't go to the roads where some lady with a pickle will touch you, then
Pickle.
yeah, little pickle.
Oh yeah, that's Skew. Let me throw that into the private chat.
Oh,
Just the article I was reading, or some of my friends just sent to me. But yeah, I do not follow like closely, the Australian internal situation.
yeah. I mean,
Who cares?
I'll just say like it is true. Like a lot of the Trump policies, which have pissed the masses off. And obviously, when it comes to elections, people are pretty emotional about it, right? So I would say like a lot of the Senate vote, which got Trump in, he's probably fucked over by now. And because of that, they've essentially doubled down on the other option. So like when it came to the Canadian election, I think it was like a landslide. As well as like here, landslide. But with Australian politics, it's more that the Liberal Party, which was the opponent, the second largest party, which acted more of a coalition. So you had like the Liberal Party and the Nationals, and the Liberals did not really have an actual plan. And there's very, very, very many other reasons that people didn't like or didn't have any confidence in the party. So they essentially voted for the other option.
Interesting.
It's kind of like Europe because both options are ass. I also hope I don't get arrested for this, to be honest. But both are not great, and essentially people are forced to vote for one side.
Yeah, I already called the police. They are on the way to arrest you for the hate speech.
There are things I cannot say on stream that I would say to you right now.
Yeah.
So the game is the same there too, yeah.
It's pain, but this is why we like our order books instead of messy politics.
Yeah, maybe
Correct.
to take the attention from you. Like I used to study a few years in Australia, and we had like a subject that we were supposed to admire Aborigines culture, which they are like native people in Australia. And I was like, why should I admire them? Like literally, we had ships, trains, like guns, and they were painting some stuff in the cave. Like, what should I admire here? Yeah, I had some troubles because of that.
I mean, I'm not surprised, man. they look. Those are like the things you can't do or like talk about or even anything associated with it. Otherwise,
that's why I like crypto. I
Yeah.
can talk shit and be paid for that. It's pretty
well,
nice.
what being paid for being like a degenerate, essentially.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
talk shit and then get paid for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Waiting
Crypto's
for,
great.
waiting for the big bucks from Uncle Elon.
Oh yeah, you engage in farming.
Yeah, I farmed $1.49. So
I was just checking out Trump coin because there was this dinner, for the holders, but yeah, nothing. It ran up a little bit, but
most of the people that went there are already hatched.
yeah.
So they just pay the price of funding rate. Yeah, or maybe not even funding. What's the funding rate on Trump? Oh yeah, it's negative. Yeah. Anyway, actually, Vincent from Chronos Research went there.
Oh,
He's,
Vincent.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I texted
he's a
him.
good guy.
I texted him like, "Hey man, I know you were talking with Trump, but I'm not sure if his hearing is well. Like when you said no more tariffs, he heard more tariffs. Yeah, I asked him to fix that.
Yeah. For the sake of the coins, he needs to get his tariff shenanigans in order at least. Oh my god, wait, do you guys remember Bohm? I haven't heard of Bohm in I think like 2 years.
Yeah, same. Neither I'm.
It did kind of well. Like 2x this month. I would have, what, like 280% or something? What is this? Okay, 145, not quite. That's still big move, wow. Oh wow, okay, never mind. It's down so much. That'll always be crazy to me that a coin can be down literally 99%, right? 92. And like from the very high. And then the bounces will be like multiples. It's like from almost the low, right, to the high. That was a 2x. That's crazy.
That's why it's. I think it's more positive EV to long, to have long systems.
True. TLT completely reversed the bounce as well. All right, shall we close out? I reckon that was pretty good for stream.
Yeah, I'm quite hungry. I was supposed to ask like if I can go to Mama, Grandmama.
I'll grab some lunch too, I think.
Yeah.
You can run to your grandma's place, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys, and let's link up later in Cantina.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll be awake for quite a while. Just like DM me whenever you guys want to jump in Cantina. We'll hang
Nice.
out.
Sounds
Sure.
great. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you
Yes.
guys. Yeah. Bye bye.
See you in
Bye.
the next one.
See you next one.